These are my friends. They come visit me quite often at the Top 100 Archive and Studio. Aren't they delightful? They don't have the slightest idea nor any interest in whatever it is that's going on inside the archive. That's where I come in to show and tell you about all what's happening in the world of the Top 100. Let's go see what's happening today.
So it's Thursday, 2 days before Christmas. It's another beautiful sunny day in Southwest Florida, and here on my lap there is a canvas. It's 11 by 14 inches, and I'm about to start the 100th painting. This is also number 100 of the Top 100 2021. So this is the last one, and I figured I'll make a video and go over the whole process of making one of those images. And so I first I should get started, I guess, with what really is the important thing about the painting, which is the music. And so number 100 is comes from this LP here. It's another one that has gotten damaged from the flood during Irma in 1997. But it's a wonderful record. It doesn't have much information on it. It doesn't tell you who recorded it. The music in this case is an initiation rite from the Kuna Indians in Colombia. Now the Kuna Indians live mostly in Panama, but there's a couple of Kuna villages in Colombia as well. They're called, the proper spelling, by the way, now is Guna with a G, and this is with a C, Kuna. In Panama, they're spelled with a K, Kuna, a initiation rite. The Kunas, I'm reading from the back sleeve here, the Kunas, medicine men, the Cantulas, are responsible for the continuity of both their religious tradition and their knowledge of medicine. The Kunas' music is often connected with religious festivals, initiation rites, and the curing of diseases. The Kuna material presented on this album was recorded in Cayman Nuevo on the Gulf of Urabá in Colombia. So again, this is the record. And so that is the first part. The record was selected, and as it is always the case, I kind of paint these things in order. The one that you see here behind me is it's Howard. Oh, what's his last name? I can't think of it now. Shame on me. Anyway, he recorded music of Thailand, and on the left you see here the cover image from that album, Music of Thailand. So I never even have to think about what I'm going to paint next. It's simply the next one on the list. And so now I have arrived at number 100. And so the first part of what goes into the painting is the research. The research starts right here with reading what I just did to you, one paragraph, the liner notes, and see what in my search for appropriate images to paint. So I've did like I've been. This usually takes at least an hour's worth of like searches online to get a little deeper into these materials, and so I for starters I got an image of Lars Persson, who like I said, it was not mentioned here, but I found out who recorded this record, The Indians of Colombia, and it's Lars Persson. It doesn't have any or not much notes at all on this record, so it's it's kind of not a true ethnographical record. Well, it is, but not in the sense of that it's of academic significance because it doesn't have the data. But I did find out that this person, Lars Persson, recorded these songs. Lars Persson is an ethnomusicologist from Sweden, and his specialty is Indians in South and Middle America. The Indians of South and Middle America. I should mention this too, by the way. I painted Lars Persson just like a week and a half ago, and it's this painting here. I'll put it up here for a minute. And so this is him as well. And so for the second image, then I've looked at many images online and read up about the history of the Kuna Indians of Panama and especially Colombia. And so I initially I kind of settled for this printout here, and it's a wonderful picture, and it would be a lot of fun to paint. It actually would look good next to this guy too, to use the same image, but I'm not going to use the same image. So my idea was to have these two here as the image. It looks like it's a flute made out of bamboo, and this was recorded with bamboo flute, so perhaps this image actually belongs to this recording. I wouldn't be surprised, but I cannot be sure, so I'm probably just gonna do this one next to this last one, and it's sitting there. It's drying. It just needs a few touches, especially some touches of some pure color and pure white that I couldn't do because it was too wet when I nearly finished this painting yesterday. So I'm gonna quickly do that. But this painting then also, and it set up the strategy for my last painting, because in it I did something different that I want to experiment with further. This is often how it goes within these series of paintings. You do something unexpectedly in one painting and take an interest in it and want to experiment with that particular mold further. So in this particular one I did the underpainting on the left side with blue and on the right side with red, and even though you can still kind of tell, but I want to push that a little further. I want to do one side of the painting in red, one side of the painting in blue. First step, I'm probably going to pencil it in. Good morning, Christmas Eve, another beautiful day. And here's where I left off yesterday. I was going to pencil in the images that I introduced you to yesterday. On the one side, Lars Persson, and on the other side, the cover of Indians of Colombia. Now, I did run into a bunch of problems doing that. And I actually made this drawing on this canvas about 6 times, and you can see the black smears. So I just learned that with a rag with turpentine, you can actually just like wipe out the pencil drawing and start anew. That was kind of fun to read, but it didn't work out. I did it 6 times, and then I thought I'm going to do it in paper, and so. There's a couple of things that happened. Anyway, so the paper is the little drawing, like a 30-second drawing. Ironically, it's on the back of this that I thought I was not going to use. So I made a quick sketch, like, I don't know, 30 seconds, 1 minute at most. And I liked the sketch, I thought, that's it. And it's the trope, the stereotype of the postmodern artist. There's the artist, the creative genius, and he does something for 30 seconds and passes on his design to his assistant, and the assistant then has to struggle for like God knows how many hours to make it, to realize the ideas of the master artist. So, you know, I am my own assistant. So I made a sketch and then tried to duplicate that on the canvas, and it was, you know, a little better. Still not very happy with it. One of the things that I did in this drawing, and it's not really a novelty, I moved the halfway mark from here to the left, to here, from here to here. And I've actually done it before. There's this one. It's probably right in this view, but there's this painting here of Nina Simone, and I did the same thing. See, it's I offset the center, and so the last one of the series, number 100, that I'm working on right now, is going to be the second one, where that is the case. There's actually another one too, but it's only slightly offset. This one, it's only slightly off center. So, right. So I did like this a little better, and I was still having loads of trouble. I mean, the sketch on the canvas does not by any means have the spark and spontaneity of this gestural sketch. It just didn't want to transfer to that canvas. So one of the solutions I came up, well, first of all, the one thing that I wasn't happy with, I mean, this is drawn like nicely, but I could not see the continuation of the clothing on the record sleeve. And so I figured I need to like respect the tribe and be accurate with the style of clothing that they wear. So I started researching, well, researching is a big word, Googling is a better word, the clothing these indigenous people of Colombia were wearing, and especially the Kuna people, because it's them who I was going to paint. And it took a while, but I finally found this style of clothing, and it turns out it is not the Kuna at all as I had hoped. Most likely they're the Arhuaco that are also on this record, the Arhuaco, or the Cueva, but definitely not the Kuna. It is the Kuna's clothing is very, very colorful, and there are, by the way, as much reminiscent of the art of the indigenous peoples, the Aborigines of Australia. It's kind of interesting that way. What was also interesting, there were lots of like studies done on the Kuna, as well as some other tribes from the same area, the Sierra Nevada. The Kuna, they are a matrilineal society, meaning that names and properties are passed on from mother to daughter rather than from father to son, as it is in most other societies. So, let me play a few seconds of this tune before I go into attacking the canvas again. So, the Kuna, a few seconds of this track, Initiation Rite, performed by a Kantule medicine man, a Kuna medicine man, and just a few seconds of it. It's an interesting tune. I have it keyed up, and it should, here it is. It's a very interesting track. It's, I kind of like sing along with this thing a little bit. It's silly, isn't it? But yeah, that's there's actually a initiation voice, probably of the Kantule himself it's certainly a man's voice that makes these laughing sounds. I'm gonna turn it off. I don't want to get in any YouTube trouble with copyright violations. So it's, let me turn it down and have it. And off it goes. So, this then freed me up to reject this image. I was talking yesterday about that this image would be much more fun to paint. Well, this is now a Kuna Indian, even though the date doesn't match at all. This is from 1919, this image. This is from 1973, this record. The recordings are probably a few years earlier. So there's 50 years between this and this, but there's also 50 years between this and this, so a whole century. This one is a whole century removed. This one is half a century removed. And so I'm going to erase it again. And I'm going to, this is now going to be the painting, as was plan A when I started yesterday. So after all that, back to square one. So, like I said, and I'm going to do that right now. I'm going to open up a jar of turpentine, dip a little paper towel in there, and just get rid of the bamboo flute player, who is from the right record, but from the wrong culture. So there it goes. It's actually fun, and this is something that I learned too yesterday. It's actually fun to draw with a pencil on wet turpentine, because you can kind of push the pencil marks around a little bit. But so this is going to be a lot of fun. I'm going to put a foot here, even though the foot is cut off here, but and it's going to fit nicely from the top. That's how it's going to go, and it's going to be lovely. I'm sure it's good enough, my outline. So here I'm gonna go with the first coat. As I said, I'm gonna do left side in blue, right side in red. I have 3 blues on my palette: a cobalt, indigo, and blue de Saint, which is saintly blue. So I'm excited. Start with indigo. I have, by the way, a bigger picture. I went back to my computer, got the original image, and I figured instead of a background, I'm gonna do just like ghosts of these adjoining people in the background. I think that'll be lovely. That's what I think. For red, I have light magenta, cadmium, and orange. Oh, different brush. Here's the image of the Kuna Indians, an image from 1919, and a photograph of Lars Persson from 1973. And this is the final of the 100, of the top 100 2021. It's not 2022 yet, just a few more days before that happens. But the list of 2022 has already started. But before I start the top 100 2022, I'm gonna wait a few months. I'm gonna take a little break from these top 100 portrait paintings and do some other stuff. I have a couple of canvases, 30 by 40, and I don't know what yet, but I'm kind of interested to see what will happen if I make stuff that is not related to the top 100. 2021 has been intense in that respect. So I did this whole series in about 8 months worth, 7 months worth actually, the whole series of 100. And the earliest, no 8 months, the earliest 5 months, they overlapped. I still was finishing up the top 100 2020. And so it's been intense. I did a lot of work. I got studio ready all at the same time. And so before I start the next series of 100 paintings, I'm going to do some other things. I have some construction to do too in the meantime. So I'm going to tweak this a little bit. I think I may experiment with some colors. Bring some colors in here. Perhaps, I don't know, just work it a little bit before I call it done. And then before, the top 100 2021 is completely done, there are a couple of works, I have them up on my wall, at least a selection of it. And I'm going to go back into to certain paintings. Hey, kitty.